So we went on a little bit of a family trip today, about an hour away. You do? Oh, thank you.
That's a big raspberry.
Garden snacks. Do you want that one?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a really big one there.
So we went on a little bit of a trip. It's near my parents. That's how I found out about it. But there's a nursery there that sells apple trees that are self-pollinating. So they've taken a rootstock and they've grafted on 4 different varieties. And when I found out about it, I was super excited because I'd kind of given up on my dream to have an apple tree because you need more than one to pollinate each other. And just the way our property is laid out, and we'd have to take down some other trees, and there's just other factors that play into it. But we decided to go ahead and get, there it is, one of those 4-way apple trees, and we're going to plant it here in, this is the keyhole garden. So we're working on that today. Super excited to have an apple tree. So we're going to come in here. I have to weed everything, like it's really overgrown. I've got a whole bunch of herbs, and I think there's still some peppers in here that need harvested, so we're going to do that too. And then we're going to get to planting the apple tree. So here you can see they took, I think this is a 4 or 5-year-old rootstock, and they grafted on, this one might even have, well, I think there's 4 varieties that they grafted on, and then the central one here is what the rootstock was. But I know there's Cortland, Honeycrisp, I think, is that Chehalis? And there's a Spartan, I think, too. Just a quick pan of the area. I have a feeling the before and after are going to be pretty radically different. You'll be amazed at how many weeds and dead things are in this garden bed. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is get all these jalapenos off the plant, and then we're tearing out the plants because they're not going to produce anything else. Even if they've started to flower, they're not going to produce anything else before the first frost. So I'm going to get those taken off. I have harvested so many jalapenos this year from, like, I think I have 3 plants. I have made a ton of jalapeno poppers thrown into the freezer. I have made a ton of cowboy candy or candied jalapenos, and I've frozen some. I put some through the freeze dryer. So if you have any suggestions on what I can use all of these jalapenos for, because the plants are loaded again, I would really appreciate it. So drop them below in the comments. My chickens are very vocal today. Oh my, are you dirty? What were you doing? What were you doing? I guess we're taking a bath today. You were playing hard in the dirt. You got it everywhere. That's a tree.
Ball.
Tree.
Ball.
Where's there a ball?
Ball.
No, I don't think so. We gotta go and take a bath? Yeah, bath. About a third of a bucket of jalapenos from 3 plants. And this is like my 4th or 5th harvest of about this much. I mean, it's a lot of peppers. Up next, this is spelanthys, toothache plant. And the medicinal properties, numbing properties are in the little flower heads. So I'm gonna come through and get a bunch of these off to dry and stick in my medicine cabinet.
That was so crazy. 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 That was
That's what I picked off. There's more that I could get off of it, but I made sure to get enough that I thought would fit in like a pint mason jar. That's where I keep all of my herbs in, and it'll look really pretty on the shelf. This is Jewels of Opar. And I've never grown it before, but I love it. I'm gonna try and get an up-close shot for you because the camera doesn't pick it up very well from far away. I mean, maybe you can see it against my hand there, but they're just these pretty little orange and red little globes that open up into, I don't know if there's any flowers blooming right now, but these pretty little like pinkish purple flowers. But what I want here, let me just harvest one. What I want to do, there, let's see if you can pick it up, there. It's so pretty. But what I'd like to do is see how it dries, and then use it for fall decor and to put in wreaths. But I just think it's so lovely. Isn't it so pretty? So like I said, I have no idea if it's actually going to dry well. Maybe it's just going to create a huge mess for me and end up being twigs. But I'm going to try and I'm going to see how it does. And if it does well, dried, I'm definitely going to grow it again. I'm probably going to grow it again anyways, even if it doesn't, because it's beautiful in arrangements. It just adds like a bit of whimsy, and I just think it's completely magical. Alright, next up I've got all of this sage here that I'm just going to take off right at the base, and we're going to dry them, but I think I need some snippers for this. So my plan for all of these herbs that I have a lot of excess, because there's no way we're using all of this sage, I'm going to be freeze drying it and then just keeping it in bulk to pull from. But it smells so good. All right, just some more weeds here. And there's just like a few calendula that I'll take the flower heads, and then I'm gonna grab a couple of the dried ones for seeds, and then these plants are getting taken out. Here are the calendula seeds. They're very interesting looking. Let's see if the camera will pick them up. There are a lot of weeds in this garden. Would I love to have a completely weed-free garden all the time? Of course I would. But I've just learned to give myself grace in this season of life. There are just other things that have to take priority, and we all only have 24 hours in a day. And honestly, the weeds are very far down on that list of priorities. Over here I've got a whole bunch of, this is hyssop that has died. That needs to get pitched. And then in here, I've got some paprika peppers. Looks like there's a few that are ready. Oh, that one's got a nasty spot, and so does this one. But there's still a few on here. I have to research and see if they will ripen indoors because our first frost is approaching quickly, and I'm not sure that they will ripen outside, so I need to figure that out. I got enough of the weeds cleared from this area that I was able to recruit some muscle to dig the hole for the tree. So we have some pretty clay heavy soil. I always tried to amend that by throwing in some peat moss and some compost. So I mixed some of that up and I threw that into the hole. And then I went ahead and sprinkled some blood meal, which is high in nitrogen, across the surface before adding the wood chip mulch, because wood chips, now mine have been sitting for about 6 months now, but sometimes they can suck the nitrogen from the soil. So just to combat that, if that were to happen, I threw that blood meal in there just to play it safe. So my camera card ran out of space, so I had to go inside and get some things off of it. But we took that as an opportunity to go in and eat some dinner. But came back out here and it's pretty chilly. It's mid-September, and here in PA there's no gradual change in temperature, like from spring to summer or from summer to fall. It's just cool in spring, and then all of a sudden it's hot and it stays hot, and then all of a sudden one day you wake up and it's cold. And we hit that day about 2 days ago. So nighttime, evening in the garden calls for a sweatshirt. But hopefully the last bit I filmed got everything we did with the tree. I need to go back and I need to mulch around the base. I need to mulch the whole thing once it's all weeded and things are pulled out. But over in that corner I've got more weeds to pull out, some cayenne peppers that need to be pulled, and I want to harvest some yarrow, and there's a whole bunch of basil, so I'm going to get to that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to work on here, you can see all of these spiky plants in here. That is Liatris. I think it's also called blazing stars, but they have these like little bulbs under the surface and they're perennials. So the way that I need to prepare them for winter, I need to cut these flower stalks all the way down to the soil level, and then it says to hill them up a little bit to shelter the bulbs from the cold temperatures. So I'm gonna start working on that. Liatris is really quite beautiful. I'll put a picture on the screen here. I do have the mixed variety. They had a really nice backdrop. They're pretty tall and the bees go nuts over them. Great pollinator friendly plant. And a garden glove. Seems to be growing mushrooms.
Is there glove? Is that a glove growing mushrooms?
I lost garden glove, which is now growing mushrooms. Interesting how they just make away. All right, on to this massive basil plant. This is like all one basil plant here that I've just been harvesting off of this season. So I know it can get a little bit bitter once it starts to flower, which most of it has. But I'm gonna try to salvage it and use what I can. A lot of the leaves aren't even any good anymore. It looks like some sort of disease got to them, but some of them are just fine. So I'm gonna take what I can and hopefully make a batch of pesto. Figured it wouldn't hurt to try. Salvaged what I thought was salvageable. There are some brown spots on some of these, but I tried to pick the ones that had the least amount of brown on them, so maybe like a cup or two of basil. We'll see. We'll see what it makes. But now I'm gonna yank this monster out of here. Ugh, I may need a shovel. This thing is massive. Like, that is a massive basil plant. This here is oregano. I'm gonna harvest some of it at least. I have harvested enough oregano probably for a few lifetimes, but I'm gonna keep it in my garden for a few reasons. I give it to my chickens. It's great at building strong immune systems. It's antiviral and antibacterial, so they get it daily. And once it goes to flower, all the pollinators really love it, and it's something that continues to flower all the way up until the first frost when a lot of other things have died out of the garden. I want to come over here and harvest what I can of this yarrow. Isn't this such a pretty color? So yarrow is great for a multitude of reasons. You can use the entire plant. You can mash it up and stick it on a bee sting to draw out the toxins. It's an antiseptic and antimicrobial, and it will actually slow the flow of blood from minor scrapes and abrasions. So this big blanket of leaves is St. Johnswort, and it's a medicinal plant. You can use the flowers. I think it's helpful with anxiety and depression, but it is taking over my walkway, so I'm just gonna give it a haircut all the way around. So let me say, I am no doctor or herbalist, so don't take my word for it. Go do your own research, which is something I plan to do even more of this fall and winter. I'd really like to beef up this whole space with more medicinal herbs. We have a very natural and holistic approach to our healthcare, and on our journey to self-sufficiency, I would love to be able to create more tinctures and salves and things like that from plants I'm growing in my own garden. Okay, I probably won't pick it up on camera, but it's getting dark. I had to stop quick because Eleanor wanted to pick a bouquet with some of the last flowers, so we quick did that, but I'm probably going to call it a night. I got quite a bit done in this bed, and I'll show you what I've done and what I still need to do. So I got everything weeded, and quite a few plants torn out. So it's not looking quite so haphazard. But the tree got planted, which was a priority. I trimmed everything up and out of the walkway. I had to replace quite a few of the stones because my youngest likes to come and take them apart. So I found quite a few actually in the soil itself. But some things I still need to do. Once this stops blooming, I'm going to prune it back. I want to harvest a whole bunch of this gomphrena to dry and use for wreaths and things like that. What else do I need to do? I need to mulch everything. And I'll have to come out and get all these cayenne peppers. And then the last thing I need to do, this is a rose right here, and I need to double check and see. It's quite beautiful. It's a David Austin rose. It's, I believe, Olivia Austin. I need to see how tall it's supposed to get, and if it's more of like a bush, I need to prune it back. But if it does get to be like 5 or 6 feet tall, I was thinking about getting an obelisk, however you say that, for it to climb up here. So I need to figure that out. But besides doing that and mulching it, this bed is almost winterized. A few days later, the weather allowed for me to get outside and get this area mulched. So here is a quick reminder of what it looked like before, and here it is after. So much cleaner. You can see the walkway. Things are looking nice and healthy and ready to be put to sleep for the winter. And here is our apple tree, which I am super excited to get some apples off of next year. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.